are freezing today. My little toes are like icicles sticking off my feet. I don't even understand why my feet are so cold today, but they are. And I thought you should know that. It was a good way to start your day. I am so excited about who we have speaking today. So we're looking at chapters 8 and 9, if you're keeping up in the book with Atomic Habits. And I asked Justin, oh, he loves this book. I think I'm just going to give him credit. I'm pretty sure when we did this book 2 years ago, it was at Justin's urging to jump into Atomic Habits for Huddle. And I know that this has been a life-changing book for him. He is a very habitual person. It's one of the things that I greatly admire about him, and certainly a secret to his great success. So, Justin, thank you for being on this morning with us. I mean, you're on every morning, but thanks for speaking with us. I'm going to turn
Yeah,
it to
thanks for having me. And yeah, you're right. This is one of my all-time favorite books. For anybody that doesn't know, I was our tech guy a year and a half or so ago, and everybody would say, "Oh man, you're just so techie. How did you get that way?" And I never considered myself a techie person, but I did become really, really resourceful, mainly through this book and just stacking my habits. But what this book allowed me to do, because I've always also been, you need the right tool for the job if I'm working with something, right? And I never considered my brain in that same realm. But the perception that I received through this book was that I can actually train my brain to do the things that I want it to do and make my day-to-day life much easier. So diving into the book with making your habit more attractive, they talk about these little birds that live on the beach. And these mama birds, when they go up to feed the babies, they have this little red dot on their beaks. And when the birds see this little red dot, the babies instinctively start chomping, ready to get more food from their mother. And so a scientist, he had decided, you know what? I'm going to make a fake beak and I'm going to put this little red dot uh, on this cardboard and see what these baby birds do. And of course, they started pecking at the red dot, instinctively thinking they were going to get food. So he then decided, I wonder what happens if I put multiple red dots on this little fake beak, what will happen? And they started going even crazier over all of these red dots. The reasoning they found behind that is that they were getting things that they wanted in abundance, right? And their brains were just preloaded with these certain rules for behavior that when I see all of these dots, I'm going to get even more food. Now, we could see this in our everyday life as well. Food companies probably being one of the biggest heavy hitters. They know exactly what we want as far as the texture of the foods that we crave, the colors that appeal to us the most, the perfect sugar and salt combinations. Everything is so concentrated in our world these days. Why wouldn't we use the same thing in our business as well? When we think about things that are concentrated, we could think of, we see a pile of candy on our left and we see some good food on our right, we're going to go for that candy. It's got that higher sugar content that we crave so much, right? Think of kids with their video games. Do they want to sit down these days with mom and dad and play a board game versus the video games? The video games is that concentrated energy that they're looking for that really stimulates their brain. So when we talk about stimulating our brain, what are we really talking about? We're talking about the different dopamine levels that we do have in our brain, right? Anytime we have a want, something that we're really driving for, our dopamine levels start to kick off and we start to get a little bit excited. They talk about in the book also, they did a rat study, right? Where they actually cut off all of the rats' dopamine levels and the rats, they ceased to want to live. They didn't want to drink water. They didn't want to eat. They didn't want to do anything to the point where they actually died. They ran the same study where they cut off the rats' dopamine levels, but then they dropped little droplets of sugar in their mouths. And what they found was that the rats, they still wanted that sugar, They just didn't have the drive to actually go get it themselves. So what they did was they reversed that study. They cranked these rats full of dopamine. And then all of a sudden, the desire that they had within them to go seek the sugar, because what they did was they put little holes in the cardboard boxes and they dropped sugar droplets into their mouth. They would start pecking at these holes 100 times an hour, right? Looking for more and more sugar. That desire and that dopamine level was so high. And that's what we're looking for within our business as well. They found that the anticipation of receiving the reward is actually so much higher than the reward itself. I compare this to me anticipating going on vacation versus actually being on vacation, right? I've got a trip coming up here on spring break, and I am already so excited to be gone, although I am focused on my business. I promise you that. But I am so excited to go on this trip with my family. I can't even stand it. And when I get there, I know that I'm going to enjoy myself to the fullest, but I'm going to be a little bit more calm, a little more relaxed, not quite as antsy. Think about your kids on Christmas morning, right? What are their dopamine levels like when they're waiting for Christmas morning through the whole month of December, and especially the night before? First, them opening presents. They're excited to open presents, but they're not dancing around, the night before, like, oh my gosh, Santa's coming. This is going to be great, right? So the desire is the engine that drives our behavior. And by behavior, I mean puts us into action, right? So we got to think about how can we put some different things in our way that we want to put us into action. A lot of times we get into the office and we go in and we go, oh, I got to make my calls today. I really need to do that. But what's our reward? What are we going to do for ourselves that make us want to make those calls? I know a lot of us would love this little device, not just for making calls, but it's got our whole life in it. Social media. Everybody here has some form of social media that they jump on or something that drives them and distracts them. You take your number one distraction and you turn it into your biggest reward, right? I can't go on my Facebook or my Instagram until I make 10 phone calls to my database, right? What's that going to do to my brain now? It's going to tell me, okay, anticipation's there. I want to go on my phone. I want to go check out what's going on in the world that's not in this little bitty office that I'm sitting in. But first, I have to make my phone calls, right? They talk about in the book temptation bundling, right? How can we do multiple things at one time and bundle those together? I'm going to give you an example, and this is a little bit over the top in my opinion, and a lot of us maybe not have this knowledge. But there was an electrical engineering student that he loved watching Netflix. They talk about this in the book, but he knew he needed to work out more. So what he actually did was he manufactured his laptop to work with his stationary bike. The only kicker was the only way that his laptop would run Netflix was if he kept pedaling at a certain speed, right? Now, how crazy is that? If he ever slowed down, Netflix would just pause. Talk about your reward system there. That's awesome. We need to link an action with something that we want to do, right? And be proactive about it. They talk about habit stacking plus temptation bundling, right? So after a current habit, I will do a habit that I need to do, right? So every morning I walk into my office and I go straight to the coffee machine for my second cup of coffee, right? But that's what I do every single morning. That's a habit that I currently have. And now after that, I come and I sit down for Huddle. It's a habit that I need, right? After habit I need, I'm now going to go do habit that I want, right? And we start to stack those habits in that manner until our day is completely full, right? It's a systematic approach so you don't have to go into the office and guess, what do I have to do every single day? When we talk about schedule blocking as a market center, right? That's how you start schedule blocking. That is the whole entire purpose of that. Start figuring out the habits that you want and the habits that you need and put them in your schedule. After lunch at 12 o'clock every day, habit, I will make 3 sales calls, right? After I make 3 sales calls, I'll check ESPN because I want to get an update on all the coaching carousel going on, right? One of the biggest changes that this book really helped to shape me, along with just our market center, was the role that family and friends play in actually establishing these habits. We are most certainly herd animals, right? We don't choose our habits as kids, and we just follow what's been taught to us. That's not at fault of anybody. We all come from different lifestyles. It's up to us to make the change to better our own lives, right? We also don't. We also follow the habits of the culture around us, right? How much do I need to spend on my child's birthday? Well, what did the Guerreros do? How much? What did they do? We got to make sure that we're doing that, right? Everything needs to be the same. What do I need to wear at work? What's everybody else dressing up as, right? We all kind of feed off of each other in that way. We also follow the close, right? The many, the powerful. And, when we talk about imitating the close, we've talked about in the market center, you are the makeup of the 5 closest people around you. And that had never been more true for me as I grew in my business. And I've lost friends because I chose to be better with the habits that I was forming. And everybody could really use to make that same jump. It doesn't mean that they're not good people. It's just that I chose to live a little bit differently. And now I've got different friends who live the same way. Right. We imitate the many, right? What's the rest of the group doing? So we always check out on Amazon. We always go and look at the reviews. Is this a good product that I'm buying? Right. But we also have to be careful not to go down a path where everybody's leaving reviews about something. And so we just jump on board because we think it's safe. We still have to do our vetting through that. And then imitating the powerful, right? This is one of the great things about our office is all of the top 20% agents that do a ton of business, they're sharing with everybody. We see it every day here in the office at the bullpen or at our partners meeting. So one of the best things about DPR is just that we share. And the best thing about real estate is all you have to do is not recreate the wheel, but it's just get in the office, listen to what other people are doing, be a part of that culture and make some of these people, some of the 5 people that you're closest to. Learn how they're stacking habits. And I promise every day you'll grow.
Justin, so good. So you guys might know that I am a Not So Closet Dateline podcast fan. I love a Dateline episode. And I don't listen though to that in the mornings because I listen to things that are going to help me grow and get better. And if I'm being honest, that does not help me be better. And their new episodes come out on Tuesdays. So guess who went to the gym twice yesterday while her girls were at basketball practice? So that I could listen to my Dateline episode, and I walked on the treadmill and I felt very proud of that. But it's such a great example, right, of attaching that habit to something that we desire and that we want. My friend goes, "Oh, you're doing 2-a-days." And I was like, "No, just 2 a day, just today. That was just for today. That's not my necessarily new habit." But okay. Thank you, Justin. You are amazing. We just appreciate you modeling this at such a high level for all of us. So good. You see all this stuff in the chat box that you need to know. But one thing I want to specifically point out is our nature walk. Kelly Can, thank you for doing these. She's been doing this now, I think like a couple years. And they go out on Fridays. I think is it once a month or every other week? I think it's once a month, every other week, 3 times a month. She's putting a lot of fingers in the chat box. I have no idea, but at a certain cadence, they first and third, right? Okay, first and third Fridays. So if you want to bring a little health and combine that with a little community, this is such a great way. It's a small group getting together and then just enjoying the beautiful outdoors and having some fellowship and community while getting your body moving. So I'd encourage you to join Huddle from your car and then jump out into Arbor Hills Trail and be a part of the nature walk on Friday. And then the only other announcement that I would specifically want to talk about today is the leverage series that I'm starting, we're going to do that on a monthly basis. So who should attend this? This would be anybody that's looking to grow, scale, and add leverage into your business. If you are looking to make a hire in your business this year and really want to dive and master the career visioning models that teach you how to attract and retain talent into your organization, you are who needs to be in that room. If you think that a hire is maybe it's not imminent, but you believe that's where you would like to go, you should be learning these models now. Or maybe you have some people on your team or in your organization and you would like to lead them at a higher level, hone your value proposition, your team culture, and your ability to really lead and succeed through others, and you should be in the room for that. We'll see everybody in the training room today at 11 for Kelly Milligan. We're going to fill some buckets, so be thinking about who you can call out and bucket fill before you get into the room. And we'll see you guys just in a few hours.